If everyone could please be seated. Why? I'm working. We'll wait another minute.
Hey folks, we're at the 2018 Bass Fishing Hall of Fame induction ceremony in the banquet hall in Johnny Morris's Wonders of Wildlife Museum and Aquarium in Springfield, Missouri. Just settling the folks down so we can present induction plaques to 6 new inductees. And Dave Mercer is going to be the MC. He'll be back up here in a minute. So stick with us and wake the kids. Here he comes, about to start.
Got some exciting news. Just found out a little bartering going on amongst the community. Johnny Morris supported it. The folks from Strike King supported it. We sold that flag, the Strike King flag, for $3,000. They're making 2 more, and we've sold them for another $6,000 to John Barnes and Eubanks from Strike King. Let's hear it for them. We are selling crap we don't even have, ladies and gentlemen. If we can get everyone to sit down, please, we're going to start our induction ceremony and 6 incredible inductees we have here this evening. Do you know what it's like when you're trying to talk on a microphone and a weirdo is... Everybody, please sign the lure. It's very important. I've asked them to sit down for the last 45 minutes. Now you're asking me to tell them to get up? Really? Please sign that lure. We'll auction off at the end of the night. But it is officially time to start our induction ceremony. So once again, Louis Stout. Last year we sat down when you were inducted. So please sit down when other people are... Louis not listening. Louis. Remember last year, Louis, when we had a really nice time where people told you were such a big deal for writing a bunch of crap for a whole bunch of years? It was very nice. I really enjoyed it. But people have to sit down during that, Louis. So if you're not sitting down in the next 12 seconds, we're going to revoke your membership from the National Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. How do you feel about that? Oh, I'm fine. Oh, you're fine? You're good? I'm good. All right. We're going to start our induction ceremony, and as I've said all night long, we have 6 great inductees, 6 incredible people that made this sport possible and made it what it is. And I'd like to get our board staff up here to do the handoff. But our first inductee, is unfortunately not here. Dr. James Henshall, born 1836 and passed away in 1925. He was the author of the very first book on bass fishing, the Book of the Black Bass, published in 1881. He was the sport's earliest advocate of note. He predicted this. Many years ago, when trout fishing was what everybody did, he predicted that bass were the fish of the future. And we talked a lot about dreams here tonight. We've really talked a lot about people achieving their dreams. And if you want, like I said earlier, we're the lucky ones. We had people take us fishing. And there's a pretty good chance that the reason they started fishing in the first place is our first inductee, Dr. James Henshall. Dr. Dr. James Henshall obviously is not here, and we do not have his family represented, but I think we have probably a little better than that here. We got his extended family. The family from people that he inspired, and we would like to thank him for everything that he did. One more time, big round of applause for our first inductee. Our next inductee, we were talking earlier tonight, is 92, is that what I heard? How old are you? 97. 97 years old. He's going to be coming up here after the induction ceremony. Is this true? You're driving to Kansas City tonight? Good Lord. Oh no, somebody's driving you. Okay, I got it. Our first inductee, ladies and gentlemen, here tonight. An incredible man that has done a lot for this sport. And not in competition, but in building this sport. Our first inductee, Berkley Bedell. Born in Spirit Lake. Yes, let's give him a round of applause. Born in Spirit Lake, Iowa, March 5th, 1921, Berkley Bedell began tying flies with dog hair and selling them to trout fishermen as a source of Depression-era income. While he was still in high school, he was doing all of that. After serving in the U.S. Army during World War II, Bedell began expanding his Berkley and Company, positioning it to become one of the largest fishing tackle companies in the world. The company launched Trilene Fishing Line and added and acquired numerous other brands over the years. Bedell was elected to Congress in 1977 and served 5 terms. His son, Tom, served as the CEO of the company. Berkley became Outdoor Technology Group in 1988 and later became Pure Fishing in 2000. We want to thank you for everything you've done, and we'd like to present your first inductee, Berkley Bedell.
Thank you very much. First thing I'd like to do is thank the fellow that's responsible for me being here. John Prochnow from Berkeley met me in Kansas City and drove me down here and is driving me back tonight so I can get a plane tomorrow morning. Stand up, John. You are John. As they've already told you, I caught my first fish 92 years ago. Anybody caught any fish any earlier than that? Well, it's been a wonderful. Aren't we lucky to be in such a wonderful industry that we can make a job out of what most of us, or many of us at least, would like to do, even if we didn't get paid for it? And I think that I'm one of those lucky people that has done all of that. I do have a problem, and I'm so anxious to be able to talk to you about a concern I have and a problem I think we have. I have done quite a little work in regard to the pollution, not just of our lakes. By the way, I've seen that. I went out fishing out in the Gulf less than a week ago, and there weren't any fish out there because of all of the pollution from the algae, the black green algae. And I'm sorry to tell you that I think we may have that problem coming at us, not just in Florida, but all over the place. But the thing that a lot of us haven't done is to study where we're headed on the planet. And I know you won't appreciate maybe hearing something you don't want to hear, but let me tell you, our planet is in trouble. And it's in trouble because of what we're we're doing to it. The scientists who know something about this matter would tell us that unless we move very quickly to eliminate or significantly reduce the pollution of the atmosphere with carbon dioxide, the planet's going to be too hot for us to not only go fishing, but even to live on this planet. And this is a perfect group to start to bring about more of an understanding of the problem that we're going to face while the politicians and others are being quiet about it and not even joining the rest of the world, which is trying to do something about it. So I came down here partly to celebrate with you folks because I feel I'm a part of you. I hope you will decide that you want to be a part of me and decide that you're going to look into, that's all I ask, look into what the real situation is for the future, not only of fishing, but for living on this planet, unless we decide we're going to work together as citizens of the globe. This is our only home, only home we have, and work together to make a planet that is able to continue to give not only our grandchildren, but all of the people the type of life that we've been able to live because of our wonderful enjoyment of the wonderful outdoor life that we have here. Thank you.
I know you're really strong. Okay. And we've got your jacket right here. Yes, sir. I'll take care of that for you.
We take one more.
Oh, we got one. He wants to.
Would you keep that here?
Yeah, we will.
And look at right here. Thank you.
All right.
I was unaware, Bert just taught me something there. You should thank your driver, so I'd like to thank my designated driver tonight, my wife. Not just tonight, but all year long. Stand up, honey. I'm proud to call this next inductee a friend. Our friendship, when we first met, well, we hadn't met. We met on the pages of Bassmaster magazine. And I'm one of those lucky people who grew up idolizing, following different people. Now I'm honored to work with them. Our next inductee is Gary Klein. Let's hear it for him, ladies and gentlemen. Gary has been involved in the bass fishing industry at the highest level for almost 40 years. During that time, Klein has fished in more than 400 Bassmaster tournaments, helped create the Major League Fishing television show, won 2 Bassmaster Angler of the Year awards, made 30 Bassmaster Classic appearances, and recorded 8 victories on the Bassmaster in bass tournaments. Klein has won the U.S. Open, a gold medal in the ESPN Great Outdoor Games. He's never had another job except for this. He's always been in the fishing industry. While the idea of young anglers leaving college and becoming full-time professional anglers is commonplace today, Klein was the first to make professional angling his first career when he started fishing at age 19. After 4 decades of competition, he's considered one of the top anglers in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Klein.
Do I get the drink too?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Not too much.
This is a very, very humbling experience. When Steve Bowman called me a few months ago and said that I was going to be one of the inductees, and I've had a lot of time to reflect on it in how he did that. At first, I would like to thank the Hall of Fame, everybody involved in it, Steve, Barbara Bowman, everybody that's been involved in the Hall of Fame. I actually had the opportunity to sit on the board and work very closely with Ray Mursky and a lot of us, I don't know how many years ago that was. But what the Hall of Fame needed was a home. And that was one of the biggest struggles that we had every year, trying to figure out a place to put it. And I would really like to thank Johnny Morse for putting the Hall of Fame here at Bass Pro Shop. This is where it belongs. And every year it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Johnny, thank you. And like Dave was saying, I've never had another occupation but competitive angling. And I still feel like I'm 16 years old. I was like any other typical high school student, 15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school living in Northern California. And I observed a bass fishing tournament on my home lake, Lake Orville. And a gentleman by the name of D. Thomas won that event. And many of us know who D. Thomas is. I knew then that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a fisherman. Of course, back then it was a weekend gig, and first place was $500. But literally, I can't tell you how dedicated I was to trying to make my dream come true. And the one person that knows that more than anybody is my mom, Barbara Klein. She has the title of being the first mother to ever attend the Bassmasters Classic. In 1979, when I left California with $1,000 in my pocket to come out and try to make a living at fishing, my first BASS event was on the St. Johns River. And I figured that, you know, if I could do okay, I might be able to make it to Lake Powell. But at Lake Powell, if I was broke, then I was only 12 hours from the house. My mother supported me. She always has. She's the one that co-signed the personal loan. Especially the industry, we've all evolved together. But when you're 15, 16, 17, and you're fairly, you're having some success, then comes responsibility. So as a young teenager, as a young adult, I was forced in a lot of positions where I had to grow up and learn how to do things on my own. But maintain my passion for fishing. I have a drive for fishing that's even greater today than it was yesterday. Literally, folks, I have probably worked with everybody in this room, everybody at these tables, touched you in some way or another, but one thing that's common, and everybody will agree, is there probably nobody in the room that has a passion for fishing more than I do. I live it, I breathe it, I think about it day and night, and I love to fish. I actually have a little story to tell about my wife, Jana. Literally, I think we're going on our 30 years of marriage. Jimmy Houston was the one that introduced us at a AFTMA show in Dallas in 85, 86. And as soon as I laid eyes on Jana, I knew that I was going to marry Jana. There was no doubt about it. Rick Klein can testify to that because I was traveling with Rick a lot, and I said, I just met my wife. We have two beautiful daughters that were actually raised on the BASS circuit, Jana homeschooled. So not only am I kind of like the only angler, or the first angler that's never had an occupation but competitive angling, I've also been one of the first to raise a family truly from fishing. My youngest daughter, Canyon, who's now 21, and my oldest daughter, Lakota, who now is 24. Girls, I really, really love you, and thank you for your support. That's the one thing about fishing that if I look back on my career, I really don't regret much. But the one thing that I do regret is time away from my family. And of course, it's like any other family that's growing. They travel with us. We homeschool, and then the girls want to go to public school. So when that happens, I basically missed about 15, 20 years of their life.
It's hard because I'm very committed to what I do and I'm very engaged. I love the sport dearly. A lot of passion. My sister-in-law, my nephew that flew out from California, thank you for coming. Alex Klein, my nephew, has competed already in 2 Bassmaster College Championships. I guess the last one they had in Georgia and in Wisconsin. So we are a fishing family, and this is the growth of the sport. What I would like to say is this. Thank you. I really, really appreciate the friendships that I have in this room and the ones that share the passion with me. But kind of to close, what I would like to say about me. And anybody that's been around me long enough knows that I'm very passionate about this sport and I want to watch it grow. I have a big vision, and this vision is grand. I know that with my vision comes a tremendous amount of responsibility, and I don't take it lightly. Every day and every night I think about how to make it better, how can we get it done, and how can we elevate it, increase it, because the biggest thing I want to do, one of my #1 goals is to be able to pass this on to the younger generation, high school, college. We have more individuals involved in fishing now than I've ever seen. I watch a lot of the boat shows that I attend. The parents are actually buying a boat because they have a child in high school that just joined the high school bass fishing club. So those are the type of growths that I really, really love to see. Folks, thank you. I'm not going to continue on, but thank you very much. Like I said, I'm very humble. Thank you.
The newest member of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, Gary Klein. Our next inductee, again, very lucky to call a man that started as a hero of mine. A friend, a guy I work with, and a guy all of us look up to. You know, idiots like me and Zona, we run around and we do lots of stupid stuff and people notice us. People with real talent, they get noticed without doing anything, and he is truly that. When one thinks of bass fishing television, Tommy Sanders rises to the top. The smooth, witty announcer has been the face of bass on television since 2000. Sanders is synonymous with outdoor TV. Gracing ESPN Outdoors for more than a quarter of a century. Quarter of a century, Tommy. Just saying. Sanders has been what started, as his coverage of the FLW Tour. Sanders has also hosted Steel Timber Sports, the Grand Outdoors Games, wraparound segments for ESPN Outdoors blocks, but he is mainly known as the host of the Bassmasters. And if you ask Jerry McInnes, who has the model of longevity, 44 years the fishing hole was on ESPN, and Jerry will tell you, there's probably been no more outdoor personality that's been seen more on ESPN than Tommy Sanders. Recently inducted into the Arkansas Outdoor Hall of Fame, Sanders is known for his work as host of Bassmaster Live and the Live Well. I'd like to bring up our next inductee, my friend, and a man that I truly believe we're very lucky to have in fishing. You know he could have hosted Monday Night Football or anything if that was his goal. Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee, Tommy Sanders.
Thank you all so much. So gratifying. I love that applause. Man, oh man, it's so great. I don't have anything to add to that, Dave. I mean, I can only subtract, so let's get started. It's a little uncomfortable for me. I'm usually really comfortable up here introducing people, talking about them, just like Dave's doing here. Talking about myself is a little less comfortable, which is kind of weird because I think about myself all the time. I mean, it's almost just unhealthy amount of thinking about myself. But I'm so happy to be here with y'all, and congratulations to the whole, my friend Steve Bowman, John Donald, the rest of the board, Guy, everybody. It's an unsung job. They do such great work. I wish we could give them one hand. So we remember to do it. No, I got my nose here. As a way of explanation why I'm here, I want to read you a quote. I dug this up in an old book back in the back of the bookshelf the other day. It is this: the world is not changed by the self-regarding, but by men and women prepared to make fools of themselves. Sounds kind of bad, doesn't it? I mean, it really sounds bad, but when you think about it, the self-regarding people, I struggle with that. I'm self-regarding. I'm as vain as Casey. I'm as vain as any human that ever walked the earth, and I worry about what people think of me. But the people prepared to make fools of themselves are the ones who change the world. And I'll offer you an example. The 3 gentlemen I've hosted the Bassmasters with. Starting with Jerry McKinnis. We were just talking about Jerry McKinnis. Who but a fool would take his little 16mm film that he'd been bicycling all over the Midwest up to the door of ESPN, which was on its way to becoming the biggest cable network in the world, and suggest that it be on the air. Well, I guess some fools answered the door because they put it together, and like Dave said, when they wrapped it up, it had been, besides SportsCenter, the longest running show ever on ESPN. And they just went on and on with this foolishness, creating the outdoor block, a whole morning on Saturday and Sunday, and outdoor programming, back when there was no such thing as an outdoors network. And now I don't know if there's anybody in this room who can tell me how many outdoors networks there are around here right now. But just crazy, foolish stuff, bringing FLW to ESPN, Bassmaster to ESPN, and on and on. Foolish guy changed the world. Absolutely. The second guy I hosted with is right there, Mark Zona. Do I have to explain the foolish part? I don't think so. He jumped in the seat and he became not only a great fishing analyst, he's instantly one of the best analysts across all sports, any sport. He could, he was that good, is that good. Plus, unafraid to make a fool of himself. And for that reason, his fans could never take their eyes off him. Still cannot take their eyes off him. Changed the world. Davey Hine. Started a young family back in the 80s. Steady paycheck. Did someone think maybe you're a little foolish when you decided to go fish for a living? Yes, of course they did. Went on to create one of the greatest careers ever in the sport of fishing. And then he said, I got some other horizons out there. A fool. Decided he was going to go out and host the Bassmasters. He jumps in and he's tremendous. Universal acclaim. Davey Hine. Changing the world. My secret is to be associated with people like that. And it's been true all through my career, and I'm so thankful and so incredibly lucky. I gotta thank some other people too. I just a really quick list. All the advertisers who ever wrote a check, foolish enough to write a check to underwrite fishing on TV anywhere. Hats off to you for making fools of yourself and making it happen for us. And I'll add this too. Every salesperson who has created partnerships with those people. There's a ton of people in the world who can do TV of all kinds and other media stuff, but there are very few people who can sell it. And hats off to those folks too. Just absolutely great job. Everything from 1996 on, who I've had the pleasure to cover, my gosh, they all took their risks. They all went out there, didn't care if they were thought a fool. And they've all got a great story, and they've all made their mark on the sport. And everybody at Bass, from the original fool back there named Ray Scott, foolish enough to try to do that, on through Helen's era and on through now. Now the people who walk into that building in the morning are on the tournament site and are out in the field and just dedicated to making this world, changing this world for the better for all the members of BASS. Crazy fool. Love them. Absolutely. And most dear to me, the folks at JM Associates, the folks I've worked with since 1989. The only people left from 1989 when I started are me and Jerry. That's it. So, man, oh man, how much longer am I here? You gotta think. But these folks who are so tremendous, and I just can't tell you how good they are. I can't name them all. Through the years, they've been tremendous. The group that's there now are so great. If you want to come there any time, I will introduce you to each and every one of them. Or you might get an upgrade. You might get Mike McInnes to do that because he's way more eloquent than I am, and he sees the big picture so much better. And finally, but really first and foremost, Casey Sanders sitting right over there. Casey Sanders, with whom I will celebrate my 25th wedding anniversary in a couple of weeks. Casey's from Southwest Missouri, born and raised on the Elk River, as a matter of fact, just up from Grand Lake, so she knows this world. She knows all about it. She knows everything. I have to keep reminding myself that she knows everything. That's a good thing to keep in mind. So I don't deserve this award, but, you know, I saw an old clip of Jack Benny, old comedian back in the day, 70 years ago, or maybe not that long ago. They gave him an Academy Award for being around, being funny for all those many years. And he gets up there and he says, you know what? I don't deserve this award. But then I thought, I've got arthritis and I don't deserve that either. So we'll call it even. So I'm more than happy to call it even. Thank you so much for
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, Tommy Sanders. Thanks for showing up this year, Tommy.
Yeah, I had to work last. I couldn't get off work.
Our next inductee, as obviously everybody knows, I work for Bassmaster. I grew up addicted to the sport of bass fishing, trapped in a cold country north of you, but still addicted to the sport of bass fishing. And in all the evolutions of Bassmaster and the sport of bass fishing, I truly believe this, and I've said this at other dinners and other things, I truly believe the right people owned it at the right time. And this person is definitely in that group. Helen Sevier, our next inductee. Let's hear it for her. Sevier devoted 3 decades of service to the fishing industry. First, as the Executive Vice President from 1986 to 2001, CEO of Bass. Under her leadership, Bass grew to 600,000 members worldwide and continued the world's most prestigious fishing tournament circuit. She worked tirelessly to promote the sport of fishing and conservation, creating the Bassmaster Casting Kids program, which introduced millions of youngsters to fishing. In 1991, Sevier helped form the American Sport Fishing Association and served on numerous industry boards and councils. Among her awards, the William E. Rickert Resource Conservation Award by the American Fisheries Society in 1987, the U.S. Department of Interior Conservation Service Award in 1997, and the Norville Presser Lifetime Achievement Award from the ASA in 2002. She was inducted into the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame in 2004. And today, it gives me great honor to induct her into the National Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Let's hear it for Helen Sevier.
you stand back, and I had to come up, trifocals, whatever, and then when this is step, take them off. You know, you think back in terms of, my mind is not aged like my body. Let me share that with you. First of all, I still in my mind think I'm much younger than I really am. And when I stand back and think I've basically been involved with this industry for 50 years, 17 of the last probably a little bit absent in a way. But at the same time today, I was deeply humbled and touched really as far as seeing so many people I've known. I stand back and I think about the impact that they've made, you've made, as far as fishing is concerned. And today being able to just see and talk and meet and greet, it's really meant a lot to me. It just touched me as far as my heart is concerned. But one of the things I know that most of you thought, probably Ray Scott and Bob Cobb came to see me because I'm so good looking. Forget it. Most of you don't even know what this book is. It's called Housekeeping in Old Virginia. Tonight, when they were talking about Dr. Henshall, I thought, I'll accept that award. I was up close and personal with him as well. I know. The truth of the matter is, when Bob Cobb, who's here tonight, and that deeply touched me, walked into that office where Morris Deeds, you probably heard of him, Bert, he brought him in my office and said, here, show him how to give you a break even. Ray had this book under his arm. The interesting thing about it is, if you would take a look, this is Housekeeping in Old Virginia, the first cookbook ever in America. We gave probably 500,000 of these away in doing cookbook clubs. And then there was a book of the black bass. Kind of similar looking, that was burgundy, this one's green. The interesting thing about it is again, this was kind of walking into what I consider to be two guys who came in, sat down, and started sharing their dreams with me. And the interesting thing about it is that neither of them knew I knew who they were. Not that I'd done homework, but I'd already been introduced to tree-turned fishers. If you don't know who that is, it's a little curly keeps saying, I'm not even certain, David's shaking his head over there. Interestingly enough, a guy by the name of Joe Fazio kept saying, watch it, you need to go see it. You need to go over there and help him to build a membership. And interestingly enough, when Ray and Bob came in and sat down, I sat there and thought, I already had a passion for bass fishing, and one of the reasons why was not that I was the best, but simply stated my dad loved bass fishing better than anybody I've ever seen in my life. He was into catch and release before it was something that we coined and carried forward as far as bass is concerned. He caught them, but he never shared where he went. He never shared where he caught them on. And he never would obviously share them as far as his secrets were concerned in terms of what he loved to do. But interestingly enough, I watched him wade into the water to get the first bass I ever caught, drag it out. Interestingly enough, when I caught a fish or a bass, which my grandmother called green trout, guess what he did? At that time, he didn't release it. He caught it, he took it home, he put it in the bathtub, and bring everybody around to come and look at that fish one, because that's the fish that Helen caught. So it was one of those things that, truthfully, I stood back and was great, and as I said, I wasn't great at fishing, but I loved it. But I loved it because I loved him. And then the children in my life that came along a little bit later on, we certainly introduced them to fishing as well. But you know, it's not about me. It's about a sport. And when we got in, and you know, as I said, I look back in terms of where we were and where the industry was at the time. I think Ray had about 9,000 members when I joined him. And the thing about it is it became very passionate. He had a passion. He had a dream. Bob Cobb had a dream. He came on a whim, as far as Ray was concerned, because it became very possible, obvious, once you joined into the organization, there was not a lot there yet. But the one thing about it is, we had a great blend in terms of people. It certainly was about the staff, in terms of organization, because they all worked with their heart and they worked passionately about what they did because they believed in it. Interestingly enough, and looking back over those now 50 years, it became very obvious that we were a service organization that was there to serve fishermen, whether it happened to be pro anglers or the average angler. And you look at the evolution that happened as far as the equipment that came out of the tournament trail, whether it happened to be bass boats or lures or techniques or whatever. Bob Cobb took that, and as he said, he filtered it down for recycling and put it in Bassmaster magazine. All we preached about was the simple fact that would this patch make you a better bass fisherman? Not every bass fisherman wears this patch, but the idea that people want to belong, but more than anything else, they wanted to catch bass, they wanted to catch bigger bass. And then we started talking about, we've got to also watch out for the resource. Bert, that's one of the things when we started talking about clean water, the first project I personally had worked on. Dave Breck, I look over at him in terms of certainly 2 years, he's been there a long time. But I remember when he said to me, I just want to be an editor. Didn't make any difference what it was, and it turned out to be for a while, Southern Outdoors. He's done a wonderful job. Bob Cobb, Craig Lamb talks about bass class. Went to a funeral the other day, and it was interesting there because I thought to myself as I stood there, it was an old employee's mother, and the place was just filled with former employees of bass, which really spoke highly. But the thought was, it's not just the bass family as far as employees are concerned, but this room is filled with bass families in terms of the BASS and the impact it had. So I look back on it and I think it was a people business. I think about casting kids, somebody mentioned it tonight. And I never will forget, and these things touch my heart deeply. The first little boy that won that casting kids contest, they showed me a picture of him, and his front of his pants was wet. And he wet his pants, and I thought, well, I'd wet mine too if I wanted something like that. Interestingly enough, at the next classic, I'm standing there with a leg down, and I realized that it must be his grandmother. So I went on and I said, I know he must be proud of me. We're so excited for him and all that sort of thing. And I told him the story about the little wet circle on the front of his pants. And she looked at me and she said, let me tell you about casting kids and how it impacted his life. Said Eric was a little boy from Georgia who was born deaf. And she said it was because of his kidneys. But she said he won the little casting kids contest. And when he was entering the school for the deaf in Georgia, he went from being a nobody to being a somebody. And that's the thing that just touched me in terms of the impact of going to the classes and people coming. And I guess you guys realize what you, and I'm talking pro anglers right now primarily, when those people would come to the Bassmaster Classic, sometimes you might not see some of the ones I did. The parents, for example, who lost a child, or the parents who, for example, to this day, I stay in communication with some that later on the children grown up and their lives have gone in the wrong direction. But they were impacted by what you did. They was part of the bass family, part of belonging. And I just thank God for the opportunity to be what I consider to be some service and have big ears. Sit back and listen and try to figure out exactly what we could do. As I said, I look at some of the ones I think Colin Moore's here, some of the people in the background. I didn't come up with the idea of casting kids. Big P had some money. We wanted Big P's money, and I went back to Lynn Wheaton and said, Lynn, we need a casting kids program. I told him, why take it to Oklahoma? We can spend the money right here at Bass in terms of doing a good job. So we worked hard for people. But the thing I look back on is I said, all the people I know I should thank, and gosh knows, as I said, the industry, all the people that really truly made this world of bass meaningful. But I still don't stand back and say the person I need to thank more than anybody else in this world happens to be Ray Scott. Whatever he saw in me, or Bob Cobb, or I could go right on down the line. Because the thing about it is, and I've never seen anybody as passionate about doing something. And I know he's been credited with saying God let it happen, and he truly believes it was divine providence. But from my viewpoint, God made it happen. In terms of seeing this industry grow as it has, the impact it's had, growing from fishing being a little small sport as far as bass in particular is concerned, to something that's a huge, huge industry. Johnny Morris, I remember his growing up with us as well as far as being one of the first tournament fishermen. Well, as I said, the thing that I think I probably have not done in all of this is throughout the years, it's been a great ride for me. As I said, I've been away from it for about 17 years now. But I know one thing for sure, we all had a great time. And the one thing I would like you to do, as much as anything else, is I said, I'm deeply honored and I'm appreciative and deeply touched by your comments and your thoughts. But more than anything else, I'd like us all to stand up and as I leave, thank Ray Scott for having the vision he did. Because remember, without a vision, the people would perish. And he's the guy who brought it to the forefront to make it what it is today. And believe it or not, maybe somebody else would have done it. But it took a Ray Scott to walk that walk and talk that talk. So come on, guys, get everybody in.
The newest member of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Let's hear it for Helen Sevier.
It was close, but we'll do another. There you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you much, everybody. I love it.
Congratulations, Helen. Ironically, when I first walked out here earlier this evening, I too wet my pants. It's true, it really is. Our next inductee, you know, one of the most often said terms about this guy is he needs no introduction. But ironically, I give him the biggest freaking introduction out of anybody I introduce all year long. But he deserves it. VanDam is one of the most recognizable names in bass fishing. As the all-time money winner at BASS, more than $6 million. His initials are some of the most feared in bass fishing. He has won 4 of the 27 Bassmaster Classics he competed in. Has a record 25 BASS wins, and has 7 Bassmaster Angler of the Year titles. He was the first ever angler to win the ESPN Outdoors Great Outdoors Sportsman of the Year ESPY Award. During his 4 years with the FLW Tour, he finished in the top 10 30% of the time and collected almost $400,000 in winnings. He's appeared in 4 Forrest Wood Cups. In addition to fishing accomplishments, Kevin VanDam is a philanthropist through his KDD Foundation, as well as his contributions to the KDD Charity Classic with the Detroit Lions, Michigan Hospital, March of Dimes, and Make-A-Wish Foundation. Never mind this stuff. 7-time Bassmaster Angler of the Year, 4-time Classic Champion, 25-time Bassmaster winner. Get loud for KDD Kevin VanDam!
I can't repeat what he just told me right there. Who we know.
Man, this is an incredible honor for me, for sure. Something that I look forward to for a long time. You know, I've been to a bunch of these Hall of Fames, and I'm used to speaking in, you know, different places and different groups and sport shows and things like that, but tonight's a lot different for me. The challenge here is the people in this room. You know, you look around and there's, you know, obviously all the former inductees into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, all these industry legends, icons in this industry. You know, Johnny Morris, the guy that, you know, I've known for a long time, and just seeing what he's done for our sport, for conservation, for the outdoors. And in the beginning, you know, all I am is just a kid that loved to fish, loved the outdoors. And, you know, when you have this group of people in a room like this, it's very intimidating. You know, I've got 5 tables of people here tonight, 4 or 5 tables, whatever, all my family, a lot of close friends, and I have so many friends in this industry that I have never been more nervous in my life, but for this night. And God, I'm so thankful for everybody, for everybody in this room, for everything that everybody's done. And you know, I'm getting up there. It's one of those deals where I had to, to be inducted this, you have to be 50. So I've been fishing now for 28 years, and I've seen a lot, and I've done a lot. But in the beginning, I'm just a kid that loved to fish. I had that start because my parents took us fishing as a family. I've got 4 brothers and sisters, and that's what we did. And I've got some notes. I don't want to mess anything up or screw anything up here, but I have to thank my parents for taking that opportunity in the beginning. That's what we did, fish for bass in the early days. We just fished for whatever would bite, and that's how it all began. And beyond that, it was about the passion that I had. Once I was introduced to fishing, all I wanted to do was fish. I would ride my bike to anywhere that I could go and find a spot, knocking on farmers' doors to fish the pond, or down to the trout stream. And early on, bass was my passion. I caught my first bass, when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. But what really changed me is the first smallmouth bass that I caught. My dad took me when I was 7 years old up on the company fishing trip to Lake Milan, and I caught my first smallmouth bass when I was 7. It was about a 10-incher, but it was a fish that still to this day leaves an impression in my mind. The way it pulled, the way it jumped, and that's why I've never been the same since in fishing for smallmouth bass. So it was an incredible experience to start off like that. But after that, that's all I wanted to do. I went to school, and the other kids were playing sports, they're doing things like that. I wanted to fish. I got into it. My high school baseball coach and I got into a giant argument because I was spending too much time fishing. How'd that work out? He was thinking I needed to spend more time playing baseball, but in the end, it really worked out well for me. I can't even read my notes without my glasses, man. It's so good. When I was that young kid and got into this deal, I had a lot of people that helped me around me, and again, family is a big part of that. I got into tournament fishing because my older brother, Randy, who's back here, got into a bass club. He got into Cal Valley Bass Club. And my first exposure to tournament fishing was he took me along with, him when he was practicing for a tournament. And we'd go out and fish, and I had no idea about the concept of tournaments. And we'd go out and fish, and he'd catch 1 or 2, and we'd catch 1 or 2, and man, I want to keep catching them. And he'd say, no, we got to save it. I got to save it for this weekend for the tournament. And that was just a foreign concept to me. Why would you, when you're catching them, why would you ever quit? And, he fished the tournaments and stuff, and I didn't really understand that. Then one time, he decided to have me as a team partner. I was 14 at the time. And he paid for everything. Paid the entry fee, paid, the gas, did everything we went to fish. It was at Pine Lake, Little Wilk Lake in Michigan. And we fished this tournament, and it was a cold fall day, and I caught 3 or 4 big bass, and he caught 1 little keeper all day long. Just 1 little keeper. I caught some pretty good fish. We came into the weigh-in. We ended up finishing second place, won $400 or $500 or something like that. And I thought, man, this is the coolest thing ever, that you can get paid to catch bass, something that I love to do. That's all I wanted to do. What I didn't understand is, why shouldn't I get all the money? Because I caught all the bass. And the truth of that story is he had to talk to some of the other guys, have them, and I was like, man, he's trying to pull something on me here, not giving me the money for me catching the fish. He didn't pay for everything. Is that, the other guys said, hey, in team tournaments, this is how it works. You split the purse, you do all this. so, I learned a lot about tournament fishing pretty early on like that. And, after that, I fished a lot of, I joined the Cal Valley Bass Club, still going on today at home. And, they taught me a lot. Every person that I fished with, I learned something different. You fished with a different club member, we fished different lakes. It wasn't long before I won the Angler of the Year in the club, my first season as a boater there. And, it really spiraled from there. I fished a lot of local tournaments, regional tournaments, and I, grew up reading Bassmaster magazine and watching guys, like Rick Klein and Larry Nixon and all these guys, Danny Brower, and I just wanted to see how they were. So I signed up to fish my first Bassmaster tournament in 1987. And boy, I got humbled in that first one. I drew out with a big name pro, took me to a heck of a boat ride at Chinook Bay, 1,000 Islands, and I just got my brains beat in. There was 10-foot waves out there. Back then we were running boats with 150s, and it was just a really rough experience. I caught one little bass my first day of competition in a Bassmaster event. And, I had a really good practice, felt I was going to do good. The next couple of days I caught them real good, and probably would have had a chance to do really, really well, or maybe even win that tournament if I wouldn't have had that first day experience. But what it taught me is to trust my instincts, to trust my own abilities, and I knew at that time that I could compete at the top level against the guys that I was scared to even walk up and talk to. Some of these guys came into my brother's store. I remember when Larry Nixon first came to my brother's store. He owns DNR Sports in Kalamazoo. It's a great marine dealership, sporting goods store, and I learned a ton there growing up. I started working there when I was 11. When those guys first came, I was so nervous, embarrassed, I couldn't even go and talk to them. And since then, a lot of these guys have become my friends, they're mentors, they've helped me out. It's just been an incredible ride. Without a doubt, the biggest thing when I got started is I never thought I was going to do this for a living. I really thought that all I had was I just loved to catch bass, and I didn't think that it was a career. Nowadays I talk to kids every day, every show. These high school kids, college kids, they're coming up. That's all they want to do is fish for a living. And, that's their goal. That just really wasn't really available. It's just like Gary was saying, it was a different time. And, now you see that all the time. I fished because I love the competition. I love to figure out what it took on any given day to get those little green dudes to bite. And that's what still drives me today, is it's not catching them, it's figuring it out. I love the competition, and I think that something that's probably instilled in our family. If anybody that knows our family knows that as a group we're pretty darn competitive. It doesn't matter if you're talking about, bago or cards or anything. Everything's a competition, and I think that probably a lot of that comes from my mom. If you know my mom, she's definitely strong-minded. Let's put it that way. So, and in this business and in this sport, family is everything. You have to have a ton of family support at home. You spend a lot of time on the road. You're traveling a lot. And when I started out with this passion for fishing as a kid, my parents never tried to squander that or squash that or anything. They didn't, do anything but encourage me. And as I started to get older and get into it, my dad, I got to use the family boat. I got to do a lot of things. They never paid an entry fee for me. They never wrote me checks for anything like that. I had to work for everything that I had to do. A lot of people probably didn't know that or realize that, but they did always support me. And again, I told you I have a ton of family here, a lot of great friends, and the one thing that's missing is my parents tonight. Man, we had all the plans for them to be here. This is the part I knew I was going to struggle with. Last week, my mom got a little bit sick and ended up in the hospital, and she's got some kidney stones and she had to have some stuff done in the hospital. She's at home, they're watching right now, And, you know, I would love to have them here because they're, you know, been my number one fans and supporters, you know. I mean, since day one, my dad used to travel with me, practicing for the tournaments back in the early days, and he helped me out a lot then. You know, I said he didn't write me a lot of checks, but Dad would pay for, he'd buy some food bills and pay for some gas bills and things like that, and he supported me with it. So they celebrated their 59th anniversary yesterday. So again, I knew I was going to cry tonight, but you know, my parents are just unbelievable, and then for our whole family, I know one of the things that I think is really special is our family is probably like most families. I mean, not everybody's perfect, not everybody gets along all the time, but we do know and appreciate what it means to be together. I think one of the things we all look forward to is Sunday dinners at Pretty Lake where my parents live out there, you know, and something we all have busy schedules. You know, I've got a brother that lives in Charlotte, a sister that lives in Cleveland, and my other brother lives right in my backyard. My sister does too, but we all get together. We all spend time in holidays. We make the most of it. Our family as a whole has grown a ton. We've got all my nieces and nephews are getting married, and now they're having kids, and it's our whole family is expanding. And you know, it's something that starts with the roots that my parents you know, have instilled in all of us. And not just my parents, but Sherry, you know, her parents too. They've been incredible supporters of ours through the years. They, you know, when you're on the road and do these things, it's a challenge. There's a lot of you know, there's a lot of uncertainties. You know, I mean, I heard a lot of great speeches tonight. Tommy talking about, you know, you got to take a chance, you got to take risks and things like that. But there's nobody that has more sacrifice than the families of the anglers, and especially your wives and your children. I've got my two boys sitting right here, Jackson and Nicholas. You know, they're crazy. I mean, they grew up on the tournament trail. They were born very premature. They were born at 15 weeks, you know, and I was on my way, or I had a tournament coming at Lake Sinclair at the time when they were born, unexpectedly came into the world. I guess they just couldn't stand to not get out and see the world at the time. But that was one of the challenging, most toughest times in the whole world. And unless you've really experienced that, it's very hard to understand. And you know, the only other people in this room that I know, anyways, are the Zonas. Because crazy thing is they experienced the same thing. They have twin boys, identical twin boys, born 15 weeks early. 2 years after ours were born, 15 weeks early. Both of our kids were in the same hospital, in the same NICU, taken care of by the same nurses, 2 years apart. Funny how you know, the world works to bring people together. And you know, you look here, you see the Zona boys, Hunter and Jacob, you can see Jackson and Nicholas. There's some young men right there that love fishing, love the outdoors. Both of them are, you know, they're in college now. They're all part of the college fishing program. A lot of great things going on there. But you know, they're growing up to be great young men. And to see this type of explosion in our sport, it's the greatest thing that I've been involved in my 28 years is for the future of fishing. There's so many positive signs. There's so many great things happening that it really warms my heart to know that it's something that I've been a part of and, you know, been able to make an impact on people. You know, when I started fishing, I never thought that people would chant my name or, you know, and I don't call myself KDD or anything like that. It comes with a lot of responsibility. And, you know, I've always worked hard to be that kind of person, try to be the role model for these kids, for these fans, for the adults, for the other people in the world that look up to me. You know, my dad took me to a baseball game, Detroit Tigers game, when I was a young kid. And I loved baseball, played baseball, and it was a doubleheader. phenomenal day for me. And in between the games, there were some players kind of warming up out there, and we tried to call them over to get them to sign a ball for me. There was nobody else around, and they wouldn't come over and sign that ball for me, and that crushed me. And I remember how I felt. And gosh, I can't tell you that I'm always perfect when it comes to taking care of fans. But you know, when I'm at the site, and that when I see somebody over there, you know, at the fence or looking like that, I remember how I felt that day, and I always try to you know, be that role model. And it's something that I don't take lightly. You know, this career that I've had is incredible. You know, I've had so much fun. You know, my wife Sherry is probably the biggest reason that I've been successful. I'm good at fishing, but I'm not good at a lot of other things. She's, you know, my business manager. She's the mother of our children. She makes everything happen at home, scheduling, and there's a whole bunch of you in this room that can tell you that nothing good happens unless you talk to her. And if you want to get something done, you get it through Sherry. And you know, she is the person that doesn't want to be in the limelight. She doesn't want to be on camera. She just wants to stand in the background and you know, make things happen. And she doesn't get enough credit for what she's done, who she is, and what she does. She cares more about other people than herself. She always puts other people first. She goes out of her way to do very generous things, and that's part of the sacrifice of being, you know, where we're at in this sport. Is a lot of times your family is the one to sacrifice, or your time is where you sacrifice. But you know, she does it unselfishly, and you know, she's the love of my life. The first tournament season that I had, where I had my first win, you know, she knew we dated for 5 years before that, what she was getting into, and yet she still married me. I don't know what she was thinking at the time, but we've been married, you know, for 25 years. We are 26 this year, and you know, we dated for a long time before that, and it's just one of those things that I look back now at all the time that I've had, and I just had so many incredible moments, things that happen for a reason. You know, and again, people taking a chance on me. You know, when I first started fishing, and it's just kind of a quick little story here towards the end, I didn't know any better that I wasn't supposed to go out and compete at the top of the world, or I didn't know any better about a lot of things. So when I first started fishing full time, when I go out on the BASS tour, I wanted to spend my life savings. I had $20,000 in the bank. I wanted to go out and just see how bad Larry Nixon and Rick Klein and Danny Brower and Stacy King and all these guys were at the time. And we were in the fledgling start in the boat business at my brother's store at DNR Sports. Got into the marine business, and it was 1987 model year, started selling tractor boats. And I was fishing tournaments and that. Johnny, in 1989, bought Nitro from Alan Stinson. And I got a Nitro boat. I got one of the very first ones that was ever even produced from Tracker Marine. And I started fishing, you know, wanted to fish the invitationals. And at the time, Ham Hamburger was running the company. And this was a pivotal time in the industry. Nitro started the first true team group of fishermen. So back then it was these white Nitros, and it was Rick Klein, and Larry Nixon, Tommy Martin, and Stacy King, Lou Daves, and Mastis, Penny Berry, this great team of anglers. And heck, I wanted to go fish and win. So I went and I said, man, you guys need to sponsor me, because I'm going to go out and fish the BASS tour, and I'm going to win. And Ham Hamburger at the time, I mean, he chuckled, and he looked at me and kind of laughed a little bit. He says, well, we just don't put anybody on a pro team. You have to prove yourself. And I kind of was really taken aback at it. And this was a pivotal point in my angling career. And I didn't really know what to say, but he kind of stood up and he looked. He said, let me tell you what. You go out and fish this season, your first year on the Bassmasters, and you do what you say, and he says, I'll put you on the nitro protein. And lo and behold, I went and fished that first year. I won the points, rookie of the year, qualified for the Classic, and by God, I've been on the nitro protein ever since. So, he was loyal to his word, and I appreciate the relationships that I've made in this industry. I have so many friends in this room, and so many friends, around the industry. A lot of great memories, a lot of great moments, and it's been an incredible ride. And as much as I'd like to say that I can do this forever, I know that my time in the industry is shorter than longer. But I do care about the future of it. I care that we have a strong, healthy industry, that we've got a lot of places, because bass fishing today has never been better than what it is right now. I mean, you can say what you want to say. We've got a lot of concerns with invasives and things like that, but fishing today has never been better. And the signs for the future have never been better. And it's important to me to make sure that it's going to be that way for a long time. That being said, I think I still got a couple good casts left in me. So I've got that competitive drive. I love to compete. I love the tournaments. I love the camaraderie. It's the only sport that when you go out and compete, I can lay it all on the line. I can try to beat every one of these guys that I'm fishing to get on that day. But at the end of the day, when we come back in, we all get along. You don't see the Lions and the Bears having dinner together after a game, do you? See? And that's what's special about the people in this sport and in this industry, the competitors, the sponsors, the production people. I mean, everybody has that passion. I mean, and that's what it's about. That's what's unique about what we do, is there's no other sport, and that I know, this is all that I know, but there's no other sport that really has that, where everybody does it because they love it. And by God, if we can make a paycheck at it, that's incredible too. But in the end, there's nothing more important than family and true friends. And through all this, I have grown to have a really large family and a lot of true friends, and that's what I'm the most thankful for. So I appreciate this honor. It's nothing that I take lightly, and the work that everybody's done to get the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame here. I mean, when you walk into that room down there, it is. When I saw it last year for the first time, I was blown away. I mean, finally, our sport is getting the respect that it deserves. So I'm honored to be inducted tonight, and I thank you for all of your friendship and everything that anybody in this room. There's so many people that have done so much for me, and hopefully, I can return the favor. So thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, the greatest to ever play the game, KBD, Kevin VanDam!
Time for a drink.
I'll see you there. Let's hear it for Kevin VanDam. A true story. I mean, Kevin is one of my closest friends in the world. When me and Kevin first became friends, I just got over a year ago, really, when you get his call and call display, and you're like, he's calling me. But, I told you I live in a little country north of here, where we celebrate Thanksgiving very, very early. It's the middle of the summer, really. And the VanDams have adopted my family, and we spend U.S. Thanksgiving with the VanDams every year. And, we go to the VanDam family. I mean, you were friends with one, and you were friends with all of them. And I I think it was Johnny VanDam's. I mean, there's a lot of VanDams. There's KVD, there's JVD, the most powerful VD, SVD, of course, Sherry VanDam. There's the brand new VD, MVD, Johnny's Child. There's so many VDs. And they had me sit with the family section at Johnny's wedding. And then it dawned on me, I'm a VanDam here for a few minutes. And I thought about it. And then I realized I would be DVD, an obsolete technology. Really kind of fitting, but I want to thank all the VanDams and all our inductees here tonight. An incredible class, an incredible sport, and incredible dreams have all come true. And I'd like to congratulate you all and thank you for being with us here this evening. Let's hear it for our inductees one more time. Just a few more things to know. We're going to shut down the silent auction 9:20. Is that what I'm hearing? At 9:20, we are shutting down silent auction. So make sure your auction bids are in. But before you go anywhere, I'd like to bring up one more time the president of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, Donald Howell.
Thank you, Dave, and congratulations again to all of our inductees. You know, when you have an organization that is a volunteer organization like the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, it takes countless hours from various individuals in order to make things happen. And through the years, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame has had two people that are no longer serving with us on our board of directors, but they have made major contributions to our organization. They've made major contributions to furthering the sport. One is Bill Fletcher. Bill Fletcher is unable to be with us this evening. Bill is the founder of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, and we are so very thankful for his time, effort, and monies that he has expended in order to further what we are trying to build today. The second person, I'm so very thankful, she is sitting in this room tonight, Mandy Mursky. Mandy Mursky joined us in 2011 to continue what Ray Mursky had started. The Mursky family in the outdoor industry, we all know them. They're incredible. And everything that they do, they put 110% into it. Mandy Mursky immediately stepped in, and not only did she give of her time and her talents, but Mandy also put her checkbook out there, and she said, I want to make sure that we continue the dream of Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how much we need more board members and more volunteers like Mandy Berkley, and I'm so very grateful. And I ask that you please stand up and give her a round of applause for all the time, effort, and money that she has supported this organization. So a small little token of our recognition that we have something for Mandy to put in her trophy case of the many things that she's done for our organization. And she and Ray have been instrumental in helping us get to this point. And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, this is only the beginning for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. The next decade for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, partnered with Wonders of Wildlife, you will not believe what we are going to accomplish. Just be here next year and watch us continue to grow. Mandy, thank you for everything. So, Mr. Bowman, I don't know anything about running a show until I met Steve Bowman. And then Dave Mercer. And they're all, I said, Donald, you got to make sure whatever you do, you keep us on track. Run a show's got to be on time. And so all I'm telling you now is that I'm now showing it is 9:16, and at 9:20 the silent auction closes. That way we can stay on track with our run of show. When everything is over with, we will provide proper instruction on the table in the back. where you can pay for whatever you want, but then after the event is over with, the bars will still be open, and what we want is we want our family in here to continue to socialize and mix and mingle, and let's talk about the good things that are going to happen in this industry and what our future holds. Thank you for being here. We could not do it without your support.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you. Let's all the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame board members, please stand up right now. Incredible what you guys have done. Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. You have exactly 4 minutes to get your silent auction items in. Honey, you stay there, okay? I'm talking to my wife. Last year, we were one of the biggest benefactors of this event. But I'd like Jackson and Nicholas, come on up here, the VanDam boys, come on up here. I mean, her dad just as good at stuff, really is. I want you guys to draw the names, okay? Draw the numbers. How does this work, Bowen? What are the rules? Just keep drawing?
Keep drawing till somebody gets the winner.
Okay. First number. You want me to say it or you're going to say it? I got it. Okay.